This video's made for adult collectors because only two more figures and I've completed the entirety of wave 1 of both Studio Series and Generations. That's fun. Ah, I just punched my desk by accident. Ooh, new toy. Let's articulate it. Oh. What if I flip this panel out? Oh. Oh. That's not good. That's not good. I was really looking forward to Solus Prime. She is one of the more famous Primes because her hammer is a very pivotal item in Transformers Prime, even becoming Magnus's signature hammer. And in Transformers 1, she's not small, so Deluxe is a bit eh. But it's not just how small the figure is that bugs me. The build quality of this toy is weirdly inconsistent. This is Solus Prime from Age of the Primes, another one checked off the list. Now all we gotta do is wait for October to get Onyx, unless Walmart decides to be weird again and put him out. And this figure looks awesome. I love the shade of purple with the gray, and it's that light gray I'm not the biggest fan of, but like it kind of works here, and it goes with that slightly muted silver that they chose, and the bits of gold I think are great. There is also 2 different shades of purple on here, which I like. This figure is also very clean. The only thing on the back that is like the front of the truck, but it sits so flush it's not a hindrance. The whole aesthetic of this figure I just mess with heavy. So it's a shame that the build quality of the figure is something to be desired. So the feet, any arm panels on mine were the issues. I know some people have had issues with the shoulder panels, but mine are completely fine. And this is an issue that plagues a lot of other copies I've seen, the ones I'm about to tell you about. For me, it was just the left foot, and it only occasionally would come off when I rotated it, and it still does a bit after I fixed it, but I did make it happen less by trimming down the mold seam a tiny bit. It's a combo of that and how shallow the mushroom socket is. It looks like they attempted to do a double mushroom peg, but there just wasn't enough space, but a double mushroom would have fixed this problem. The other problem part on mine was this arm panel. It didn't come off when I used it, but it looked like it was about to all the time. So I trimmed these parts down that I've circled ever so slightly, and now it doesn't look like it wants to flex. It stays on. And it's because the friction pegs aren't long enough, and this piece, it looks like it's a tiny bit too small, so it flexes out, and then bits of it bump into the tabs on the arms, which cause it to pop off. A pin would have solved this problem. And Hasbro is known for package refreshing figures with fixes from time to time, so I hope they're able to do that with this figure, because with those issues solved, this figure would be amazing. The hip skirt is one big giant slab. It's a tiny bit awkward and unwieldy, but it can split into 3, so you can make it look a tiny bit flowy if you want to. Head sculpt is great. I dig the green eyes with the silver on the face. I love the hair on the back of the head. That's a nice touch. The hammer looks really cool. I just wish it was bigger, like more substantial, because I'm so used to that hammer being massive from Transformers Prime. The paint on the hammer though is very nice with the yellow pinstriping and the giant circle, and the hammer is 3 pieces for reasons. The instructions show her holding this thing, but I don't know what that is. So Solus's articulation is neat because it actually does some things that you don't find on a standard deluxe, especially one that's like smaller. So that's really cool. However, one of those things is the build quality price, the foot rotation. And also, I didn't notice this until I was shooting the footage with the head, and if it's long enough, you might see me actually point at it. That is a massive stress mark on her hair. I don't know where that came from, but it is straight up just bent in there. I'm not gonna, I know I could like heat it up and fix it. I'm not gonna bother. I'll probably just end up Hasbro customer servicing this figure, to be completely honest. Anyways, the head is on a ball joint. You get a little bit of tilt, which is nice. A little bit of up, and then this hinge here can help her look that far up. And then you have that far down, and then you have your rotation. So a pretty good range of motion at the neck. The shoulders can do a full 360 degrees. The shoulder pads can move out of the way to accommodate the arms, which can go out that far. You have a bicep rotation. You have just a little bit, like a tiny bit under 90 degrees of bend at the elbow. Then the wrists are on ball joints, so they can swivel, but they can move in for transformation, which is how she's able to hold the hammer down like this, because then you can just put it in her hand like that. And now she's pointing the hammer down, which is really cool. I like that. I really like this piece of articulation, and I think more sword wielders and hammer wielders need something like this. It's very cool. She does have a waist joint. The one hip skirt can go up, and you can see how the hips are built in there. They're actually up here, even though the rotation's down here, which is kind of funny. But the hips can go forward, they can go back, they can go in and out. However, when you've rotated the waist, the hips bump into this, so they only go out that far on this side. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but whatever. You can just take this and like move it out of the way to get a little bit more if you want to like unpeg it. So that's fine. She does have a thigh rotation. Because of the sculpt though, it only goes that far out and that far in, unless you have the thigh up like this, then it goes wherever. You have 90 degrees of bend at the knee, and you can also use this transformation joint if you want to. Then you have that ankle rotation and an ankle pivot. But again, this side, it will just come out every once in a while. So yeah, she's got really nice articulation, but the bits that fall off are a little annoying. Also, some people have mentioned that these up here like to come off on their copies. They're really tight on mine, so I'm not worried about it, but they are just sort of pegged in there. I don't know why they built this the way that they did. I assume it has to do with either the cost or the size or something like that, but it is just odd, and I do hope they refresh this at some point. So yeah, she looks great and functions mostly great, but it's just a couple of things that make her fall flat from being a good figure. Get it? Fall flat because her foot keeps falling off. So let's make her a truck. And the first time you get this, it's not very fun. After a while, you start to get the hang of it, and it is fun. But yeah, it's not the most intuitive transformation in the world. So to start with, we're going to take the hammer and put it off to the side. And then we are going to start with the arms. So you open these panels up, and then you fold the fists into the cavities that are exposed, like that. And then you want to make sure these are folded all the way out, which is when they start popping off on some people, so just be careful. Then we're going to take this backpack section, bring it out, fold the grill up, and then shove the head into there, and then fold this forward so that it sits at the front like that. Then we're going to rotate the waist 180 degrees, bring this up, but bring the middle section down, rotate it 90 degrees, bring these sections down, and then rotate this the rest of the way, and then sit it down like that, and that gives it that sort of shape at the back. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take the legs, you're going to open up the wheels, fold the heels in, close up the wheels, and this was when mine fell off the first time, was opening the wheels up for some reason. Then you rotate the feet 90 degrees, you peg them together, and then you bend them on both the knee and the transformation hinge. And they will peg in underneath the leg right there and there. However, getting this lined up, because you can't really see because the wheels are in the way, is a tiny bit annoying, although I just got it on first try because the camera's on. But yeah, getting that lined up can be a little bit frustrating. Now you want to make sure these are completely straight, otherwise the entire car will not sit flat. And it's not straight on mine. What is happening here? There we are. Then you bring that down and that sort of just sits there. Now we deal with the arms, my least favorite part of this transformation. So you take this section here and you rotate this out a full 180 degrees. It will sort of soft click into place. And then you just bring the shoulder pad out like that. So bring it out, soft click that into place. Then you want to bring this entire shoulder section on this hinge here, which could be used as a butterfly joint, but when you do that, it unpegs the backpack. So I didn't show it off, but you can bring that down, and then you want to rotate this shoulder section up. Now, there's this little peg right here, which is kind of useless, but it sort of just tries to keep itself in there, but it doesn't really work that well. But you want to push this so that little bar, that little purple bar that you can barely see in there, clears that little tab. Because if it doesn't, then nothing wants to sit flush. So once you have that shoulder pad rotated, then you peg the shoulder pad into the grill, and then bring the arm up. And then that will peg into the hip right there. And we'll do that again on this side. So you want it to clear that little tab, get it pegged into the front grill. The waist has been rotated somehow, and then bring the arm up. Now you notice it's not sitting flat, and I don't understand why it's not sitting flat, but it doesn't like to sit flat. And then you want to peg these side sections into the cockpit windshield area. However, this side does not like staying tabbed in for some reason. And then there you have Solus in her truck mode. But this is still, it's really hard to see on camera, but this is still slightly off. And I don't know why. I've taken this entire figure apart that isn't just pins, and I've taken a look, and I just cannot figure out why it doesn't sit flush. Because when I put it down, it wobbles. It always wobbles. And then when I mess with it, it's like, oh, start just twisting things until it sits, and it just does not like to sit. It's still wobbling. It's very strange. I don't quite understand what is wrong on this figure. And it's not mine as well. Like, I've had a bunch of friends who have this figure who also have this issue, so it's just weird. The truck mode looks neat, sharp and pointy, and is just made of interesting shapes, though the back feels kinda unfinished and a little bit wonky. After fixing it all and taking the transformation slow, I got all the parts to line up to keep the alt mode sitting flat. But when I first got this thing, I struggled to have it sit flat, and some of my friends still struggle with that. The gold windows are nice on the front, but other than that, there's no new real details exposed. Hammer can store on the top with the 5mm peg that does flip out, which is really cool. And it's a nice size. Everything tabs together and stays together, other than the one panel I pointed out earlier, but it just doesn't like to stay. And yeah, I don't know if I want to recommend this one. Unless you're collecting all the primes like I am, you need to get her. But it's a bit to mess with, and a lot of TLC is needed to be applied to this to make it work. I do hope a fixed one comes out eventually, because I would totally recommend it then. Or if they do Transformers 1 Solus Prime, because I know they'll probably do that in the next 5 years. But that's been my look at Transformers Age of the Prime Solus Prime. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.